Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Okay. All of today's guests on this Tuesday, including Ben Pope, covering the Blackhawks, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Located oceanside in beautiful Parksville, the Bayside Resort, one of Vancouver Island's premier getaway spots, the premier getaway spot. Stay at the Bayside this month. Get 25% off your nightly room rate by mentioning Donnie and Dolly. Book your island getaway at BaysideOceanfrontResort.com, or you can call 250-248-8333.
Oh,
Delaney's OK Tire in Langley inbox. Do we have the number? Because we received some complaints here from our podcast listeners.
the number's right
Delaney's OK Tire in Langley inbox.
604.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, well, okay. 604-200. Just about as I was about to say it, you took it away.
Yeah.
604-200-94. Okay, 9494. Tweet us at Donnie and Dolly. Email the team at checkmedia.ca. Henderson's whistle glove take, according to Safari Steve. Tough look. You're getting ripped for that.
Oh, big time.
They can't blow a whistle because they have gloves on?
Justifiably so.
Ben Pope doesn't want to hear this stuff. Let's get to him. Blackhawks beat writer for the Chicago Sun-Times. It's the Hawks' 30th place overall in the National Hockey League, taking on the Canucks tonight at Rogers Arena. Ben, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be in Vancouver. Always one of my favorite places to visit.
Nice.
Not the best of weather right now. We'll see what we can do for you as the day goes on. Hey, Ben, the Hawks have won. I know they lost to LA the other day, but they've won 6 of their last 8. Is that a good thing?
Well, I mean, for the long-term organization goals, I mean, it's objectively not. They were in last place entering this stretch, and that obviously gives them the best chance of a number 1 pick and a guaranteed top 3 pick, which is really the number 1 goal by far for this season from a management perspective. So obviously winning, therefore, hurts that cause. I mean, they're now in 3rd to last. I think they'd moved up to even 4th or 5th to last before their loss on Sunday. So, I mean, that part's not great, but there's still so much time left in the season, and they have shown that they can lose quite a lot. They lost 21 of 23 in a stretch earlier this year, so I wouldn't panic too much on their chances of falling back into last by the end of the season. I think from a short-term perspective, it's nice to see the team winning. I mean, obviously players and coaches aren't tanking. They're trying their best to improve and to gel and to win every game that they possibly can. And so to see their hard work pay off and at least a little bit of good vibes injected into the room was nice to see. And there's been some bright spots in this stretch. Seth Jones has had probably his best couple weeks as a Hawk, and guys like Sam Lafferty and Jason Dickinson, who you know well, have been playing well. So from an individual standpoint, there have been some positives, even though it's maybe not the best for the long-term organization goals. And
let me just say this, Ben. There's no shortage of people in Vancouver who are envious of what Kyle Davidson is doing, what the Hawks are doing. They like his vision, his focus versus what's happening here in Vancouver. Do you understand his vision and focus?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's done a really good job so far. They had really not had much of a clear plan the past 4 or 5 years under Stan Bowman, kind of pivoting year to year, whether they were rebuilding or trying to go for it or just not a lot of continuity. So to see Davidson pick a path and stick with it completely has been nice to see, even if it's leading to a lot of short-term pain and losses. I think it does make sense in the long run. They've already vastly improved the prospect pool from one of the league's worst to kind of middle of the pack, and they have 6 top 3-round picks each of the next 2 years, and will probably be accumulating even more with some of the trades likely coming up. So the prospect pool is pretty soon going to be one of the best in the league you'd like to see, or you'd hope to see. And even on the roster, I think he's done a good job of finding some maybe undervalued guys that have done better with bigger ice time in Chicago, considering how available that's been, and then he might be able to flip them for something better than he paid to get them, or maybe they'll turn out to be kind of complementary pieces in the long run. So I think he's done a great job so far.
Hey, Ben, Chicago is one of the best hockey towns in the USA. Pretty intelligent fan base. When you rebuild, tear it down, what has their reaction been, Ben?
Well, I think a lot of fans are on board. I think just that they knew that this had to happen at some point, and it had just been dragged out too long. Certainly the fan interest has been diminished in the short term just because the team has kind of punted this season. There really isn't a whole lot of reason to pay attention. So attendance has been down. Not as down as I'd expect, though. I mean, they're still averaging over 16,000. It's not like the building's totally empty. And certainly just in terms of social media interest and TV viewership, those are all down as well. But I think the fan base has proven that it's kind of lasting after the dynasty era. Like, those fans aren't going away, and I think when the team returns to contention, they're not going to have to really rebuild the fan base. I think there'll be plenty of people who are eager to tune back in once this plan is complete.
All right, Ben, the big question, the trade deadline could be fascinating this year. We got some big names in Vancouver, but Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, do you see them getting moved?
Well, I've been disappointing radio hosts and everyone for months with this. I still really don't know, and I don't think anyone knows. I don't think even Kane and Toews themselves know. I talked to Toews for a while in Philadelphia last week about this, and he just doesn't really know what the next few months look like for the team or for him, or what next season looks like. There's just a lack of clarity on pretty much all fronts for him that's making it tough for him to decide. And I think the same goes with Kane. It sounds like they and their agent Pat Brisson have not yet met with Kyle Davidson, but that's been expected to happen soon for a while now. So I think it probably will happen within the next week or two, and maybe we'll start to get more clarity then. But they really have never been through a situation like this. They've both been with the Blackhawks their entire careers and never really had to even think about the possibility of a trade. So I think they're just not really accustomed to going through this decision-making process and weighing the pros and cons. And I think even with Toews, it also comes down to I'm not sure he knows if he's going to want to sign another contract next summer, or if this might be the end for him. So there's a double level of uncertainty there. And it's still a waiting game, just like it's been ever since really the draft last year when this rebuild went into full-fledged effect. So we'll just have to see what happens in the next month or so.
Ben, Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, and there's so much success in the past, of course, the recent past, but did they seem like, and I'm asking for your feel on this, does it seem like they would be on board with what's happening in Chicago?
I think that they realize that objectively for the organization long term that this is the right decision. I think they're kind of undecided whether they want to be a part of that, just because it is going to be several more years till they're even thinking about the playoffs again, and they'll be into their late 30s by that point, and who knows what they'll still have left in the tank then. So I think it's really more about that than them disagreeing fundamentally with the plan. I think that's really more what it comes down to.
Ben, thanks so much for this. We really appreciate it. Safe travels.
Yep, I appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight.
You bet. Ben Pope, he covers the Chicago Blackhawks for the Chicago Sun-Times.